Alright, welcome back to the channel. Warhammer Man back in the studio, and today we're taking a look at a new article from Warhammer community about Warhammer Plus. Revealed, the Chaos-Fueled Warhammer Plus Year 2 Miniatures. Year 2 of Warhammer Plus is nearly here, and there's a massive amount of explosive new content coming, which we covered earlier in the week. As we draw closer to the second year of the new Warhammer programming, app updates, vault content, it's time to reveal one of the most significant rewards for subscribing, the exclusive Warhammer Plus miniatures. So we'll take a look at this here. Interesting choice of backgrounds. So this guy looks pretty good. Obviously inspired by some old school artwork. Couple of chaos familiars, definitely unique. And we see a chaos sorcerer. Looks like you could probably rock that in fantasy or 40k. Alright, so I mean that was the whole video. Nothing really there. These brilliant miniatures accompany the upcoming Chaos releases. Okay, that makes sense. I was kind of curious why they were going the Chaos route, but that does actually make sense. From the creepy capering familiars that accompany, oh my gosh, Mibyllorr Darkfang, to the intimidating presence of Azrakh the Anihilator, who has slept straight off the cover of the classic issue of White Dwarf. Getting your hands on these miniatures is easy. Sign up for or renew an annual subscription of Warhammer Plus, and you will receive your choice of miniatures 1 month after subscribing. Monthly subscribers will need to wait the full 12 months to claim their miniatures. Like last time, you can buy the one you didn't choose with your subscription. It's as simple as that. So this is important because obviously there was no option for a yearly subscription and then just getting your model right away. So that is an important change that they made. Obviously towards the end of the first year there, they had like the last chance to get those unique miniatures. And essentially what they did was they said, okay, look, instead of having to wait the full 12 months for your subscription to be active for a year and then get your models, if you actually just sign up for the annual subscription and obviously like pay in advance, you get your model right away. And obviously the reason they do that is they don't want to give you the free model and then have you cancel the subscription. So that is why they made you wait the full 12 months before. But now if you pay in full upfront for the subscription, you get the model right away. So that actually makes sense. I think it's a lot more appealing to people because, to tell you the truth, with how crazy the world is today in particular, the idea of getting something a year from now is like laughable. You're like, I don't even know what I'm going to be doing in a year, let alone what the world is going to be doing in a year. So, you know, trying to commit for something a year in advance is not ideal. So Azrakh is phenomenal. This model looks great. The paint job is absolutely disgusting. And I mean that in the best way. This paint job is amazing. I mean, it's awesome. I love the kind of like green glow coming from behind his head. I love the super pale skin. It looks great. The armor looks awesome. That is it. I mean, it looks like non-metallic metal. Yeah, it definitely is, because you can see it on the silver, I think, more than the gold. But I mean, just absolutely beautiful. Great model. I'm not really sure what is going on with GW bases lately, because again, this base, and I know it's like whatever. Of course, you would pay attention to the base. This base looks like those kill team bases that we see. I'm not really sure. We haven't seen like a top-down kind of view of the bases yet to see what's going on, but this is clearly that same like style or aesthetic of the kill team bases. And we saw it on the Kasserkins. We see it now on him. We've seen it on, obviously, all the models from the new set, the new kill team set. It's just very interesting. And, you know, before we wrap up looking at this guy, obviously everyone noticed, but, you know, we can't not mention the fact that his middle finger is a chain fist. And then also the corn symbol on his chest, or kind of like stomach, maybe abdomen, we'll say. And then you can't see it here, but he actually has a corn symbol on his head as well, like shaped into his head, or maybe like tattooed. I don't know exactly. You can't really see it in this picture, but it's there. Pretty cool though. Great looking model. Just absolutely crushing it. I mean, this is the perfect blend of, you know, what amounts to like a 20-year-old piece of art that's like super outdated, and then imagining it as a current model that would fit into the range and still look good. I gotta say, flawless execution. This old little thing going on down here, amazing. This bit right here is borderline busy, and if it was any busier, or it was busy like that everywhere else, it wouldn't look good. But the fact that it's such crisp detail everywhere, and then it's just a little busy right around there, absolutely beautiful. Love this model. It's great. Alright, and then let's take a look at Mibyllorr Darkfang. Looks pretty good. Unique. We don't have something like this. Cool staff. I like the little blindfold with the eye in the center. Obviously a caster. Nice looking overall. Good looking model. And then I think probably what will get people excited about this is the familiars. Just because they are pretty unique. I'm not sure how I feel about this little guy right here. Just because that's like borderline. I mean, let's just say he was white. It would look a little controversial. Let's say that much. Don't think that was the best decision, but it's all good. The little mini Chaos Warrior is like honestly kind of laughable. I mean, he's obviously like just a tiny little version of like one of the old Chaos Warrior models. I like it. It's cool. The little like evil kind of like pot or whatever is pretty neat. It's got like big old legs, and the mouth is like inside of it. Definitely reminds me of like a mimic or something like that from D&D. And then this little like, I don't even know what this guy is. Fat little like lizard with a touch of the Nurgle, I guess. And it looks like he's playing like a bone flute or something like that. Interesting. The old bone flute. Again, not sure that's the best decision, but it's funny. Overall, I gotta say though, nice looking models. I mean, you really gotta like these. And then it is cool too that because this guy's like a little less fancy, and because it's Sigmar instead of 40k, they throw in, you know, the little retinue. Because I imagine, if I had a guess, probably like 90% of people take the 40k model, and like 10 take the fantasy ones. Now this one you could probably rock either way in fantasy as well, so maybe people would get both. But I have a feeling that, you know, the 40k one, let's be real, I know for a fact, based on speculation and no actual facts, that the 40k ones are exponentially more popular. So getting your hands on these miniatures is easy. Sign up for or renew an annual subscription of Warhammer Plus, and you receive your choice of miniature 1 month after subscribing. Monthly subscribers will need to wait the full 12 months to claim their miniature like last time. You can buy the one you didn't choose with your subscription. It's as simple as that. So we see a little more detail right here. See like sort of like a mimic book right there with a sword through it. Maybe there's some like lore behind that. Hooven feet, some hooves. Look at my hooves. Okay, so that makes sense. This is actually like a beastman, kind of like sorcerer. I see like the fur now on the arm a little more clearly. Obviously the hooves, and then the horns and your teeth as well. So that is pretty cool. I like this model. They both look really nice. Honestly, they do. Even the familiars look pretty good. If you sign up for the annual subscription for Warhammer Plus by the end of July, you'll claim your exclusive Year 1 miniature in August. You'll receive an email within the next week, if you haven't already had one, to let you know that the free miniature is ready to order for the Games Workshop web store. You'll also have the chance to buy whichever exclusive miniature you didn't choose when you sign up. These exclusive miniatures are in addition to everything else you get in Warhammer Plus, a stupendous animated series, bespoke Warhammer shows, like Battle Report, Lore Master, and Citadel Color Masterclass. A treasure trove of lore and White Dwarf issues on the Warhammer Vault, offers, and competitions. Make sure you sign up, subscribe now, blah, 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 blah. So, I've talked about Warhammer Plus quite a bit in the past. I think realistically that there's a year worth of backlog now. Let's assume you didn't have a Warhammer Plus subscription. There's a year worth of content now on the site that didn't exist if you signed up a year ago. So you're coming in the gates. Oh, look, we can see that corn signal right here really nicely. So right off the bat, you have a huge advantage now to sign up over last year because there's a year worth of backlog. As opposed to last year, it was like, hey, there's no content yet, but go ahead and sign up and we'll like trickle feed it to you over the next year. And they were late on a lot of stuff. A lot of things that seemed like they were going to be, 8 or 10 or 12 episodes were actually like 4. There was a lot to be left wanting, let's say. What I saw from Warhammer Plus overall looked decent. Obviously, we've seen quite a few fan animations that were equal or better quality. We saw Games Workshop actually pick up some of those fan animations, like a Tau one as well. I think, honestly, at this point in time, they're going to put out another year worth of content over the year. Plus, you have the year worth of backlog. The price is still, fairly reasonable. They've had a year to kind of like flush out some of the issues. And, the miniatures look great. So, essentially, when it's all said and done, I think they've created enough value that I could see the appeal here. Now, am I going to pull the trigger and sign up for Warhammer Plus? Yeah, probably not. Probably not. I am curious how much they have sunk into this endeavor so far, and also how many people have subscribed to it. And if you haven't checked out the recent videos I did for Games Workshop, like the fundamental, financial, technical analysis breakdowns and everything, they also had their annual report that comes out. They do a semi-annual report, basically, where they address shareholders and what's going on with the business and, give their little spin and everything, reveal all of their numbers, etc. And that just came out recently, and I was very, very surprised in that review or in that video, like reading through that and everything. There was a bunch of stuff that came up. There was a couple things that were kind of mentioned lackluster. But overall, there was definitely some red flags there, or some headwinds or whatever. I was very, very surprised that they did not mention Warhammer Plus. Not even a mention of it. I don't think the word Warhammer Plus was in there anywhere. That was very surprising. So that makes me think, I would have just loved to see like how many subscribers they got, or how much they put into this endeavor, or just any kind of like indication that, hey, obviously Warhammer Plus was a success compared to nothing, so we got people to sign up for it, we created content, and likely we will see this many more subscribers this year, or we got this many new subscribers, or if our break-even cost is this, or just any kind of like even mention of Warhammer Plus. Because we know for a fact when Games Workshop puts out those reports that they leave out things that are poorly and they try to spin anything that did good. So like with Dominion, they said that was like an absolute success, a great launch, and they sold more boxes than ever in the past. But in reality, we know for a fact that Dominion was a complete failure. And I say that not because the actual quality of Dominion was bad. It's amazing. Great box. I paid full price for it right out off the gate and thought it was killer. But here we are, a year and some change later, and you can literally buy Dominion for less than 50% of MSRP. So it came out at $200, and it's selling now for $100 or less. I've seen copies of Dominion, including tax and shipping, $80 is the cheapest I've seen so far. But right now you could go and buy them all day for $100. So that's not a success. And that's not my opinion. That's a fact. Now for Games Workshop, it's a success because they dumped all their copies on, stores and consumers. But that's not an actual success, because if you are a business and you have a middleman between you and the customer, the last thing you want to do is screw over that middleman, because you rely on them to make sales. So if you dump a bunch of product on that middleman and then they just have to sit on it for a year plus and then eventually sell it at a loss, we know obviously the maximum discount anyone gets from Games Workshop is I think it's 45%. So if they're selling it at 50% off and they've stored it for like a year or whatever, and they're going to ship it and not charge you tax, they're taking a massive loss on that. Probably somewhere around like a 30% loss, because they probably paid roughly 110 for it. And if they're selling it for 80, you know, they're essentially giving it to you, you know, $30 cheaper than what they got it for. And then they're going to pay shipping on that too. And then they're not going to charge you tax, but they're going to obviously pay tax to the government. You know, maybe they're taking as high as like a 40 or 50% loss. Now, sometimes it's better to just liquidate something just to get that capital back so it's not tied up. But the truth is, I mean, that is not a success. So we know they spin things and try to make them sound like successes. Didn't even mention Warhammer Plus, which is very, very surprising. I would think if you had a new endeavor and you were trying to pitch it and everything, you would at least briefly mention it and try to spin that and say, you know, Warhammer Plus has increased subscribers far beyond what we expected, and with the years to come, we're confident that it will continue to grow. And just use like vague statements like that to kind of spin it. Nothing like that at all. Very, very surprising. So what is the deal? I mean, are they just trying to spin Warhammer Plus? Are they really going to go all in on it now? I honestly don't know. But I know that compared to last year, there's a much bigger incentive to sign up this year, because you already have a year worth of backlog. Now, how long would it take you to go through and watch all the content on Warhammer Plus? Or at least like all the animations, like, you know, I'm sure eventually maybe you watch some of the painting videos or battle reports or whatever. From what I understand and what I've seen, you can find better painting videos, tutorials, battle reports, all that on YouTube. So you're really getting into it for the animations and then whatever else extra that just kind of goes along with it. And the truth is, I mean, it seems like there's probably the amount of content on there that you could probably watch it in a week or two. So if they put out like a week or two worth of content in a single year, and you can expect another, you know, probably week or two or maybe 3 this year, it's still not going to be like a ton of content, but there's more value than there was a year ago. They've obviously like taken out some of the kinks and everything. I'm sure they've been working on stuff that we haven't seen yet for the last year. So I would think this year is going to be better than last year's. But pretty much everybody I know that signed up for it was like, it was whatever. Like, if I didn't get the model, it would have been a poor decision. But because I got a model that's worth somewhere between, you know, $35 and $60, it basically like paid for itself. So it's not bad. And I think that's the general idea. A lot of people felt like, you know, it was a complete failure, or they didn't like it. Almost immediately like canceled memberships, left bad taste in people's mouths. I get it. Typically when you start like a sort of like streaming service or like a subscription model, you already have a bunch of stuff available, like a huge library worth of content for people. So I don't know. This doesn't change anything for me on Warhammer Plus. I liked the last models. The Vinegar Assassin was obviously my favorite. The Orc was okay. Again, I like this model. Obviously, they were going for the classic, nostalgic kind of thing going on here. Again, I like the models, especially the Khorne Terminator. But is this going to put me over the edge and get me to sign up for Warhammer Plus? No, it's not. I'm not going to sign up because of this. It's cool, but no, that's a big pass for me. Now, that might not be the case for everyone, but, you know, that's just my honest opinion. I have thought about it. I considered it. I almost signed up for it initially, and honestly, there was so much bad reviews and everything that I was like, no, thank you, I'm good. Now it's sort of like kind of neutral to bad. So maybe a year from now, it'll be like good to neutral. And then with 2 years worth of backlog and then a year to come, it will be worth signing up. That sounds pretty realistic. I think, honestly, the way to go and what I will probably do, let's say I decided, okay, I'm going to sign up for Warhammer Plus. What I would do is I would just do the same thing that Games Workshop has already showed us that they're going to do, which is at the end of the year, like the fiscal year of your Warhammer Plus subscription. So obviously the recent one ended in August. The miniatures were available up until the end of July, and then you would get them in August like they said. So with these, next July, you could sign up for Warhammer Plus. You would get your year subscription or whatever. you would get your model, and then now you have basically 2 years worth of content already on the site, and then you're signed up for the next year. So now you have 2 years worth of backlog content, plus you then get access to the following year. So you basically get a whole extra year of content by just being patient, and you still get all the benefits. Now the only thing that you give up is access to this model right away. So if you're like, hey, I'm going to get this guy, paint him up for Golden Demon because this looks so phenomenal, and I just can't wait, that makes sense. But, you know, like if you're like me, you have plenty of stuff to paint, so you could really care when you get the model, as long as you get them eventually, and, you know, that's what you want. So I think that's probably what I will do if I was going to sign up. But does this change things for me for Warhammer Plus? No. Is it still, as far as I'm concerned, you know, a failure? Yes. Is Games Workshop desperate to get people to sign up for this? Yeah, definitely. They are definitely desperate to get people to sign up. Anytime you offer a service for like, whatever, $60 or something like that, and then you give away, I mean, a Terminator character would probably cost like 35 or $40, something like that. You give away essentially the value of what somebody's paying. You know, it's sort of like the get people in the door with the cheap gallon of milk or some eggs, and then you're hoping that they buy a bunch of other stuff. But the thing is, there's nothing to buy from Warhammer Plus. So the most important thing, here's how it works with business, and I'm sure most of you guys know this. The hardest part of business is customer acquisition. After that, it's very, very important to have customer retention, because you often pay, you know, a customer acquisition cost. So like a company will spend $100 to get a new customer, knowing that on average, if that customer stays for so many years, they'll make back that 100 and so much more, and that like the lifetime value of that customer is exponentially more than the acquisition cost they paid. So it makes sense to take a loss in the beginning, but the problem is that you have to, once you acquire them, you have to keep them. So if what you're giving them, providing the service or whatever, is not enough to keep them, then it's not worth losing money or spending a bunch of money to get them to begin with. You need to do the opposite. You need to make sure that you provide enough value on the back end, without a doubt, and then spending more money up front makes a lot more sense. So is Games Workshop desperate to get people to sign up for Warhammer Plus? Yes, they obviously are. Is Warhammer Plus going to be completely different and exponentially better this year than it was last year? No, I don't think so. If you were a member last year and you thought Warhammer Plus was good, are you going to enjoy this year's even more? Yeah, I think definitely. If you enjoyed last year's, there's going to be more content. Some of the stuff obviously will be rewatchable. So I would say, yeah, definitely. But I think for me, I'll probably just wait and see how this next year goes. And then maybe towards the end of the year, if I want this model and Warhammer Plus has added a bunch of content, I'll go ahead and sign up and do a year and give it my honest opinion. Yeah, I think that's probably the way I'll sit with it. So let me know what you guys think down below. Do you like these models? Do you think Warhammer Plus is good? Did you have Warhammer Plus and you canceled it? Did you have Warhammer Plus and your year's out and you're not renewing? Did you not get it and you're glad you did? Or maybe you didn't get it and you wish you would have because now you can't get those models. You missed your chance. Do you have some kind of insight about what's going on with these crazy new bases? Yeah, I always like to hear you guys' opinions. I appreciate everybody that takes the time to chime in the comments, like, share, all that good stuff. We are building an awesome community here. I'm absolutely loving the direction of the channel and all the good people. You guys are absolutely awesome. You blow my mind with the channel growth and the amount of positivity. So thank you, each and every one of you guys. And of course, as always, you know, if you do enjoy Warhammer 40,000, Kill Team Necromunda, Age of Sigmar, Warcry, and some more Heresy, make sure to like and subscribe for daily content, reactions, reviews, news, painting, modeling, conversion, magnetization, tutorials, all that good stuff. Pretty much anything to do with tabletop war games from everybody's love to hate, most least and best miniature game company. Yeah, so that's it for today. Warhammer Man Studios, I'm Warhammer Man. Let me know what you think, and I'm out of here.